coming in number 5 in the poll with 38 points. The midshipman of the United States Naval Academy. Of course, one of the 2/3 new faces that we have as the head coaches in the Patriot League this season. Rick Sowell in his first season at the Naval Academy after spending the last 5 years at Stony Brook, back-to-back regular season titles at Stony Brook. A great job there with the Seawolves and joining the United States Naval Academy for his first season this year. So, Coach, welcome to the Patriot League. Welcome to the call. And thanks for joining us today. And your opening statement, please.
Thank you, James. Thanks for having me, everyone. And I'd like to start off by saying how excited I am indeed to be joining the Patriot League. I guess I don't know, though, what it means, but I come into the league and I'm the elder statesman in terms of age. I'm not sure what to think about that right yet, but needless to say, yes, it is a thrill to be joining the league. I've seen from the outside looking in the league develop over the last 3 or 4 years, and the fact that at Stony Brook we've scrimmaged league high, and I've seen them improve drastically over the last 3 years, up close and personal, and I have no doubt there are going to be a handful this year. And I've also had the opportunity to scrimmage Army the last couple of years, and know how tough of a program they are, and even going back to, I think, maybe 3 falls ago, we scrimmaged Bucknell. And so while I was not competing in the league, I certainly, again, was competing again in these scrimmages and seeing just how good of a league it is. It's a league of great coaches and great players, and I'm certainly looking forward to the challenge of competing against our league schedule. Regarding the team, I think we've settled in from the transitions. Certainly going back to the fall, it was a lot going on. New coach and staff, new philosophy, new strategy, new terminology, the whole bit. And I thought our fall was good, but when you go through a transition, you're bound to have your, as I call them, transition pains. And there was a lot of anxiety on top of it, not knowing what to expect out of the new coaching staff. And so, we had our good days and bad days. Certainly the effort was very good. Certainly, can't fault the effort, but it's just all part of a change in what you go through. And I think any coach will tell you that you're going to experience these types of situations. But I think now we have settled down. To be honest with you, I've been impressed with our preseason workouts and just how much we've retained from the fall. And now that the guys have settled down and, we've gotten to know each other over these, those 4 or 5 months throughout the fall, they've really come out and impressed the coaching staff with again, how much they've retained. And so from that standpoint, we're real excited about the way things are progressing throughout the fall, or throughout the spring. And I'll speak coach talk. When I heard, Coach Morrissey say it, I heard Coach Mangan say it as well. We're focusing right now on trying to be better every day. It's not always easy because, sometimes we push it pretty hard and you're trying to get them in shape. You're trying to, more strategy, because we did keep things somewhat bland. We didn't throw a lot at them this fall, more just basic concepts. But now, we're getting a little bit more detailed, and there's competition, and so there's a lot going on. And so you're not going to have an ideal practice every day, I suppose. But for the most part, our guys are working hard. We feel, at the end of the day that, we are getting better. And again, going back to what even Terry said a minute ago, I'm not sure what that means. I think we feel like we're doing some good things. But I suppose we'll find out a little bit more of what we're made of. We head down to Duke to scrimmage them this weekend, and they'll certainly expose any weaknesses we have. But give us a better sense of where we are and how far we have to go. But in terms of energy and effort and feeling as though we're getting better every day, we're very excited where we are at this point. So with that, I'm opening myself up for questions.
Coach, it's James at the league again. My first question for you, and we'll kick it off with this, is getting beyond your scrimmages. Your first three out of your first 4 games, I should say, are at home. You start with VMI, then you go on the road for Jacksonville, and then you have North Carolina and Bucknell at home. So that's a pretty interesting start to your schedule right there. It seems as though you really just you hit the ground running with that schedule a bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Again, I'll cheat off what Coach Morrissey said. I think all of us have challenging schedules, and nowadays in our sport, you certainly can't take anyone for granted. There's maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you can look at your schedule and say, you know what, we show up, and regardless how we play, we're probably going to have a good chance of winning this game. But I think those days are long gone, and so you can't sit there and try to predict. You just have to focus on that next game. And for us at this point, it's VMI, and then once we get to that, we'll turn our attention to Jacksonville. But in terms of playing those first 3 games before we play our first league game, again, there are going to be battles. We anticipate. Hopefully, we can get ourselves off to a good start. I think that would do our program wonders, to build some confidence. Again, another thing that Coach Mangan had mentioned earlier, that is the key to the lock. And it starts in practice. I think practicing well, that leads hopefully into doing some good things in scrimmages, and then you got to go out and do it when the lights, camera, and action roll, and it's the real deal. And so hopefully we can get ourselves off to a good start and win that first game and move on from there. But yeah, nowadays there's just there's no gimmies. You got to show up. If you don't show up and play good lacrosse, you're going to put yourself in a position to get beat. And that's one of the things that we're focusing on. It's just probably more so worry about ourselves. I'm a coach that ultimately believes that it's what we do that's going to lead to success. Obviously, the talent plays a role into how successful you can be, but we try to focus on the things that that aren't going to allow us to beat ourselves first off, and so therefore putting ourselves in a position hopefully to win the game. So those are the things that we're working on, and so far so good. The weather's treated us as kind thus far this preseason, and I'm sure every other coach is saying the same thing. Making sure we stay healthy, which you have some control over. Some of it's just luck or unluck. Being lucky. And so far that's been the case with us. But that certainly will play a big role in whatever success that we have this spring, and that's staying healthy.
All right, any questions from our media members here on the call for Coach Sowell at AD? Hey, Rick, it's Bill Wagner. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How you doing, pal?
Doing good.
Hey, I just wanted to ask you your thoughts on being picked 5th. I think that's probably the lowest Navy's ever been picked in the preseason poll. Are you disappointed with that? And do you think you can be a playoff team in this league by the end?
Well, one thing I don't get myself caught up in is what's being written in January. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything. I've been most recently on both sides of the coin. A couple years ago, 2010, we weren't even predicted to win our league. As far as whatever preseason top 20 rankings, we were nowhere to be seen. And at the end of the year, we were right up there. Again, one goal away from getting to the Final Four. And then I would even say last year, we got out of the lump because of the success we had 2 years ago. We were one of the darlings of the preseason, and to be quite honest with you, although we did have a lot of really good players returning, we knew we were a different team. We knew we were a different team, and we certainly enjoyed the publicity. It was good for the program, good marketing for the program. But for us to be ranked in the top 10 last year, I thought was a joke, to be honest with you. And so, I've been on both sides of it. At the end of the day, to me, I'm not worried about what's being written. You got to go out and prove it on the field. We all know. Again, you can go back and do some research on any sport. You know, preseason rankings, versus the end of the season, the results, and so I can't get too caught up in that. And I'm not. My focus has been, with my team, as I mentioned earlier. Focusing on, preparing them to get ready for a challenging season.
That said, the Patriot League certainly has gotten a lot better, due largely to Navy coming in and raising the bar, and these other programs have come up to Navy's level. Talk about your thoughts on the league coming in and how good it is. You mentioned a little bit in your opening comments, but clearly, Lee, and another thing, you moved all your games, your league games, to the weekend. Can you talk about that change? And I think that speaks to what you think, how good these teams are, that they can't be played midweek 3 days after you've played North Carolina or somebody.
Absolutely. That certainly was one of the first things, that, when I took over as head coach, getting that Lehigh game moved to a weekend was priority. And, yeah, it just speaks to the state of our league these days, and that, you have to prepare and make sure you're ready to play. And that certainly was one of my priorities. But in terms of the league, again, as I mentioned, scrimmaging the Bucknells and Armies and Lehighs, I've seen, I know how good they are. And watching Colgate from afar, you look at, even last year, Bucknell is a whisker away from beating the eventual national champion. And, Colgate beats the runner-up in the last game of the regular season. So that in itself speaks for the quality of the league. And you heard Jimmy Morrison speak earlier about, they battle an Army and being in games. And so, and then, geez, I forgot to mention Lafayette. We played Lafayette at Stony Brook just 4 years ago. I remember he took some battles, and the one that happened, I believe his name's Greene, was a handful for us. But we didn't play in 2000, the year they had the really good team, 2010. But I've experienced it up close and personal, and I think the league's only going to continue to get better, and certainly Navy is excited to be a part of it. We feel like at the end of the day that we can compete, for championships, and my goal is to try to put us in that position right now, but we'll see. Again, I don't have the feel for my team right now. I know we're working hard. We're doing some good things. There's a lot of guys that are back from last year and lost a lot of close games. Maybe there's some games that got away from them, but they were in say Bucknell, for instance. That was a tough game. Even Colgate lost to them by a goal, and so it kind of was one of those years, I think, last year where had some battles and maybe some games that got away from them, and I'm hoping that leads to a hunger and a motivation to be more consistent this year. That's certainly one of the things that we're trying to focus on. But you got to get to the point, first of all, where you're good, and then and then from there it's about being consistent. But we know we're going to have our hands full, against our schedule. Period. The league, non-league, but we're certainly looking forward to it.
Thanks, Ray.
Hey, Rick, Eddie Timanis here. How you doing?
How you doing, Eddie?
Good. Along those lines, I'm just interested in kind of hearing your thoughts on maybe your feel for the dynamics of, just taking over at a program that is accustomed to, maybe having a little more success than maybe your your initial impressions at your other stops where, you were kind of trying to do more of a let's get to that point first. Has it been kind of a different feel as far as what's already in place for you, setting up your coaching staff and all, or how has that kind of felt for you?
It's been a different feel, but I mean, to be honest with you, I'm taking over a program that hasn't had success in the last couple of years, so, and, from that standpoint, it's similar to programs that I've taken over, throughout my career. the difference is, unlike the other programs I've taken over, this program has a ton of tradition. I mean, talking over 100 years. And so, because of that, there's a lot of expectations. And to be honest with you, I'm excited about that. To me, it was part of the lure of wanting to be here, and that is to take over a program. Some of these other places, even though they wanted to win, I was creating the tradition, if you will. And then in the case of St. John's, kind of the state government, they had a program before for a number of years, but then I started the program, from scratch. So whatever I did was great, and the success that we had, at Stony Brook was unprecedented, but here, winning a Patriot League championship, if we get to that point someday, that's going to be good, but they want more, and I have no problem with that. Again, I knew what I was getting myself into, and I came here with expectations. And again, I'm excited about that. I think that's it's been an awesome experience, to be honest with you. Just being around this environment. But as far as you mentioned, I think you were talking about the support and all. I mean, that's one of the things that has been a match from any other program that I've been a part of it, and that is the support that we have here. I mean, it's about how can I help you, and whatever it is that to make our job easier. It's been great. So I suppose it makes me even more motivated to want to be successful. Because we do have a great support out there, and the alumni, and obviously within the ranks, the administration here at the academy. But it's so far it's been an unbelievable experience for me, and I'm just looking forward to starting our season and hopefully being able to make the alumni proud. At the very least, the effort that we put forward on the field. We're I'll say it, we're not going to win every game. That's very difficult to do. We all know in our sport, in any sport. But we certainly want to show up and play the game the right way, and be proud of our effort, and hope that most days that's going to be good enough to allow us to be successful. But it's not, from time to time it won't be good enough, but you still want to make sure that you leave the field, feeling proud for at least the effort that you put out there.
All right, we'll be watching.
Any other questions?
Hey, Rick, Gary Lambrecht, Lacrosse Magazine.
How's it going, Gary?
Okay. Hey, I wanted to ask you about R.J. Wickham and just the kind of fall he had. Obviously, you'd like to see him get back to his form from a couple years ago when he was the goalie of the year in this league. How has he and how have the guys in front of him, performed in the limited time you've had a chance to run them through?
Well, I got to choose my words carefully. My competitors are listening. But no,
they know who he is.
Yeah, again, that's one of those spots maybe I was alluding to earlier when I said I'm not sure. I'm just not sure of a lot of things right now. We feel good about RJ. I think the addition of Mickey Jarbeau has done wonders for him. If nothing else, again, going back to that confidence thing, RJ is playing real confident right now, and I think it's just good for him to have Mickey there, not only to help him with his technique, but just to have someone to speak his language, to look over on the sideline and know there's someone that has gone through, what he has, what he goes through, between the pipes, and I think that alone has been huge for RJ. But we certainly need him to play well this year, but I think you alluded to it earlier. We got to make sure the guys in front of him are playing well. Also, and that's a work in progress. We've removed some guys around, from the fall to the spring, and again, we're doing some good things, but just not sure what that means right now. And we'll hopefully just continue to work hard and get better. But we got to play some good defense in front of him, and hopefully the combination of the two will allow us to be in games and to our offense. We feel like we have pretty good offense. A lot of young kids a year ago, and there's been the two biggest changes from last year is this team now has a lot more experience. Those young guns, a year older, hopefully a year wiser, and coaching change. And we're certainly hoping that the two will make a difference in our team's success this year.
Thanks, Rick.
Hey, Rick, Bill Leiter again. Can you mention any other players that have impressed you in preseason? I heard Nick Davis looks pretty good. I would imagine that Sam Jones and the other young attackers. Can you mention a couple guys who've looked good to you in preseason?
Well, you just hit on a few of them. Absolutely. Nick Davis is playing like a senior. We're excited about how well he's playing, and Matt Vernon on defense. He's going to go. I think all the seniors. Taylor Reynolds is playing real well. Logan West at the face-off. We feel as though that could be one of our strengths this year, not just him at the X, but our wingman, Pat Kiernan, the long poles, who's the third class. He's playing really well this preseason, and a couple names that that unfortunately for whatever reason weren't around last year. Bryce Dabbs, who's probably our most dynamic player. He did not play a year ago. He's having a great preseason. Austin Miller, who's one of our defenders, he is one of our best athletes. I mean, he is just all over the place, and we're excied about what he's shown so far this preseason. But you mentioned that attack. Sam Jones will be our quarterback, no question. Tucker Hall, the Patriot League Rookie of the Year, is. I didn't see it during the fall. We kind of went through some of those growing pains, but I've seen now, why he was Patriot League Rookie of the Year. He's having himself a great preseason, and we're excited about what he can do. We think we have a pretty darn good attack, and probably the difference between Navy of 2012 and my Stony Brook teams the past couple of years, we had obviously some really good players. Kevin Crawley and Jordan McBride. We were top heavy, and those guys were just point producing machines, and I dare say we don't have players of that caliber, but in terms of depth, it's not even close to the depth that we have here compared to Stony Brook. Now, again, what that means, I'll say it probably for the fourth time now. I'm not sure, but I think it means certainly the quality of practices are good, competitive, knowing that there's guys breathing down your throat for playing time, and so guys have to show up and make sure they're taking care of their business, and that's healthy. As a coach, you want competition. Ultimately, that's the ideal situation, is to create a competitive practice environment, because that will lead to good things come game day. But yeah, I feel like our seniors have done a great job with leading me through this transition. I mean, it's been a relatively smooth one from my standpoint, and I think there's a hunger, as you would expect. It's been a couple of years since they've been successful, and they have all the team when I arrived, as well as the entire coaching staff. They're the ones, seniors, when you bring in a new coach, it's the seniors that have them, they're concerned the most. They've been here for a couple of years, so they're used to a philosophy, and all of a sudden a new coach comes in, their senior year, and of course, we all know how seniors, that last year they want to make sure they leave on a high note, they leave a legacy to be proud of, and they got a new coach coming in, and they're not sure what's going to happen, and so, that's one of my goals, to make sure that we put them in a position so they can leave here with something to feel good about, and that's certainly having some success on the field. But they've been great, and we're hoping that it will show throughout the season.
Last but not least from me, Rick, last year Navy suffered some significant losses in the preseason and didn't have guys going into the season. I pray that you haven't suffered any injuries to anybody you're counting on.
No, we feel good. I'm knocking on wood. That, and I mentioned that a while ago. That's certainly one of our focuses, to make sure you get through spring season, preseason, healthy. And so far, so we're all going. I'm not going to sit here and say that we don't have our bumps and bruises, but there's probably not a team out there who hasn't, who's practiced for any length of time at this point who isn't dealing with, a sprained ankle here, a slight pull there, but nothing that's kept anyone out for any length of time, and hopefully that continues. But as I mentioned, that's going to be a big key to our success. We don't have a lot of wiggle room, although we have some solid depth, I think, but we don't have a lot of wiggle room there. So hopefully, again, it's one of those years where we can come out on the lucky end, because we're going to need it.